Now, the words of that gospel passage from St. Luke should be very familiar to us. We heard it only yesterday at Sunday Mass. And I return to it tonight because it's such a strong message, isn't it? The words of Jesus, so hard-hitting. We think again of what Jesus is asking of us, commanding us to do. He says, you have to, if you are a disciple of mine, you have to love your enemies. You have to try to do good to those who hate you, to bless those who curse you, and to be merciful, never to judge people. Of course, we have to judge actions, but never people. That great expression, to love the sinner, but hate the sin. And they're very hard teachings. Because by inclination, I think we all want to love those who love us in return. That's easy, isn't it? And we want to kind of distance ourselves from those who hate us or hurt us or speak ill of us. And it's a very human response. And yet what the Lord asks us to do, I think when we really put our hearts to it, it is something that's achievable. We can, over our lifetime, we can learn to love those who oppose us and who work against us. When we ask for that particular grace, God is ready to give it to us if we ask. But perhaps more difficult is this: not allowing our enemies and those who wish us harm to steal away our peace. I think that's the real struggle. Let me tell you a story. I'm sure you all heard recently, and perhaps you read about it, about the lady who was arrested for standing silently with a placard in one of these so-called buffer zones, the first person in Scotland to be arrested. And when I saw the story, I thought, what a brave woman, what a courageous woman who deserves all our respect and our prayers for standing up against this tyranny that seeks to silence people. And I thought, what an inspiring, what a prophetic action, really, to stand against this kind of authoritarianism. Nobody should have their message silenced. Not in a free country. We stand with people even that we oppose, because we understand in the public square you have to be able to say what you think. My goodness, if we live in a world where you have to zip that in certain streets, what kind of world are we creating? But like many of you, I'm sure, I heard about this story online, and I decided to share a simple message of support and of sadness, really, that this kind of religious censorship was taking place here in Scotland. And as I anticipated, as I expected, all the online trolls came out in force with all of the kind of bile and insults and hatred that you would imagine. And you know, in that kind of situation, it would be very easy to be shaken or to be upset by that kind of negative reaction from many people who actually hate what we stand for. And some people might be tempted to allow themselves to be bullied into silence because of all the hate. That would be entirely wrong. If we are proclaiming the gospel of Jesus, if we are sharing his eternal message of love and peace and life, no attack from anywhere should bully us into silence. We must love our detractors, yes, But we must never allow anyone to silence the gospel message that we have. Never. Jesus, he was the one who came and commanded us to speak the truth, always and everywhere, even if it's within 200 meters of some place. Always and everywhere. And yet, sadly, we live in a world today where all too often many of our brothers and sisters, many Christian people, many Catholics have chosen the easy path of silence. Put your head down. Say nothing about your faith in the public sphere. When you go into work, just zip this. Say nothing about the gospel in case it offends somebody. Say nothing because of the barrage of abuse that you will probably receive. It's the wrong path to take. Disciples of Jesus, we have to take courage and also to be inspired of all the many people who have gone before us. Think of the example of the apostles, the martyrs, the saints down through the ages. They never lacked love for their enemies. They never lacked love for their enemies. But neither were they bullied into silence. So we need to pray a lot for more courage, bravery in the face of the enemies of the gospel. We should save our silence for our personal prayer. But we should use our tongues, our voices, to spread the good news from the rooftops. And if the message that we share in the world, if it offends some people, remember it has always offended. It has always offended for 2,000 years. Because the gospel is a challenge. The gospel is a rebuke to the world. The gospel is the light that enters the darkness. That's not just in our day. That was always the case. And when the hostility starts, and it will, never let words or hate or hateful tweets or whatever, never let these things disturb our peace. You know, our peace, it comes from Jesus, the Prince of Peace. Our peace comes from our Mother Mary, the Queen of Peace. Our peace, our calm, our serenity, it cannot come from the acceptance of the world because our message is not accepted by the world. And in many ways, the sooner we wake up to this, the better. Our message is the light in the darkness. And remember what Jesus said elsewhere in the gospel. He says, I will give you a peace this world cannot give you. Jesus must be the foundation of our lasting peace, not the acceptance of others in this world. So let's heed the command of Jesus in the gospel to love our enemies, to sincerely love our enemies, to bless those who curse us, and to love them and to bless them with the saving truth of the gospel. When the day comes when we stand before the judgment seat of God, may He never call us a silent Christian. Amen.